Next principle. Look, in any social interaction, one person is reacting more to the other person, that person is reacting to them. Probably one of the top 5 most important principles in all this. Maybe even the most. You got to know this. In any social interaction, there is one person reacting more to the other person than that person is reacting to them. Always. That's always how it is. It might be 100 versus 0. It might be 51 to 49. It might be 50.01 to 49.9. But someone is probably reacting more most of the time, unless you have 2 very enlightened individuals, in which case it might be even. What does reacting mean? When we say someone is reacting to you, what does that mean? Think about this, guys. When you're reacting to someone, let's look at some of the symptoms. All right? Some of the symptoms that you're having a reaction. Women are wired to tune into this. 1, their natural personality is being affected by you. 2, the way that they feel about themselves is tied up in your responses to them. 3, their focus is more directed towards you than other people in the room. 4, they feel a heightened emotional response to physical contact from you. That's a big one, by the way. These 2 are the 2 biggies. 1, they feel a heightened emotional response based on physical contact, right? You guys know how when there's a girl you're really attracted to, if she makes physical contact with you, you feel that funny, tingly feeling? When she's reacting, she's feeling that. The other one, and this is the other biggie, is she's analyzing how she's taking up your space and time, all right? When someone is reacting to you, they're like, is this the best time to call them? Right? Like, say the girl's really reacting to you. She's like, should I call him? I don't know. Will he like me? It's that taking up of space and time. You guys know how the high-status person in the elevator will probably have more arm room than the other people? Maybe at the movie theaters, there's the armrest. And if you feel like the other person has more status, you're going to be too nervous to put your arm on the armrest because you're like, oh, I'm taking up their space. I'm not supposed to do that. These are dynamics of status, all right? And on some level, one person is reacting more to the other person than that person's reacting to you. Now, with women, this is an interesting one. Here's why. When a woman becomes really attracted, like when she gets really into state, like when she's just going nuts for you, she actually might start chasing you really hard and infringing on your space and infringing on your time like mad, all right? But then on the other hand, if she really likes you and she goes home, maybe she starts thinking about it, all right? Or maybe not. But I'll tell you that will definitely apply to guys. And when women see the guys are reacting by worrying about how they take up your space and time, that's going to be massive. Anytime that you're thinking of calling somebody and you're like, oh, is this the right time to call? Oh, am I using up their space or personal time? Probably on some level you view yourself as not having value, as having as high value as them. Likewise, you know how you guys might have a certain friend who if you needed directions you'd call, and then you have other friends who you probably wouldn't call? Right? Because getting directions is a menial task. Now, sometimes that's based on just how close the friendship is, right? You might have a high-status friend, but if you're really close friends, you might call them and ask for directions, and that's fine. But there are certain relationships that you'd be too afraid to do it because you'd be afraid of losing the relationship, okay? If it's quick, yeah?
Yeah, what about just the courtesy? I mean, like, maybe you feel like calling someone at 2 in the morning or something, you know? They're all just...
No courtesy. Higher value wins all. No, I'm kidding. Of course, yeah, personal courtesy, always. I always try to make people feel good around me and never, I try not to mess with people or anything. Absolutely, that's one of my values, yeah. But see, here's the thing. If I had to call someone at 2 in the morning, would I be nervous about it because I'm afraid they won't like me? No, I'm not worried about it. I just won't do it because I'd feel like a dick to myself. I'd worry about what I would think of myself. All right, now look. The point is, when you're having these kinds of reactions to people, you are doing what? Giving your power away. Think about that, guys. What does it mean? Think about it. Let's even come out with a better word. Handing your power away. Yep. You are handing your power away. You're saying, you know what you're doing? Think about it. Look at what you're doing. Look at what you're doing here. You're not even actually like, this person doesn't even want you to give your power away. Like, do you guys like it when people are like nervous to call you and like use up your time? Do you like it when people, like other than out of courtesy, of course, do you guys like it when people are like reacting to you and like giving you higher status? Right? Nobody wants, except like someone very thick in the grips of ego, you don't want that. Women don't want you to do that. Right? A woman doesn't want you to be, she doesn't want you to be nervous around her. She doesn't want you to give your power away to her. Of course. But you'll hand your power away anyway. And what's really interesting is that when you're not popular growing up, and you don't have a lot of friends or whatever, and when you hang out with kids that are popular and you give your power away to them, you think that maybe on some level you feel like they liked that, but in reality, everyone wants to hang out with cool, fun, interesting people that don't give their power away. Everyone would prefer to hang out with the charismatic dude that doesn't do that. Nobody wants you to give your power away. I think you guys should really think about that, okay? And if the person does want you to give your power away, that's probably not a friend that you want to have. So just keep that in mind. So we're moving towards the idea of core confidence here. The bartender, the celebrity, the party host, all these different people, what do they have in common? They have people reacting to them. They have an environment where they know that people will react to them. This is what leads to, and you guys might have heard this on the 2-hour free audio, this is what leads to the stereotypes, these funny stereotypes. For example, the Denny's manager that has had sex with 75% of his female staff. Okay? Does anyone here have a friend that like manages a restaurant that like hooked up with all the girls on the staff? Yeah. Always a couple in the room. Isn't it funny, right? The bartender that hooked up with all the super hot bar girls. Okay? Why is that? What kind of interaction is going on in that environment? Well, let's really think about this. Let's magnify it. In the environment, what you've got, say you've got the boss, all right? Let's say that this guy lives in his parents' basement. Okay? A, lives in the parents' basement. B, not that good looking. C, he drives a beat-up rust bucket car. What else? Let's make up a character here. D, he's a burnout. What's that? He's a pimple face.
Bald.
All right? He's bald.
Right.
Okay, what else?
Short.
He's short. Okay, he's fat. Okay? What's he accomplished in life? Nothing. He became a Denny's manager. That's what he accomplished. All right? Okay? What's that? He has STDs. All right? Okay? He has the most STDs of anyone at his work. All right? Now, so basically, from a superficial level, right? Like from a superficial point of view, people are like, no, that guy couldn't get girls. That guy's got nothing. And logically, let's face it, a lot of these girls that work in restaurants are really physically attractive. I mean, some of them are smoking, right? And you see these like schmarmy guys that have hooked up like with all these hot girls. Like he's just run them through, right? And you're like, how? How is that? Well, let's look at what the girl is seeing in her environment. In that environment, what does that guy have? Situational confidence. So what are people doing? What's that?
People are reacting to him.
People are reacting to him. Oh yeah, what else?
He's got power.
He's got power. What else?
Compliance.
He has a lot of compliance, absolutely. What else? Status. Come on, guys. Think of it this way. If he goes to look at people's work, what happens? How does he's watching the way that they're working. People are like, oh, right?
Yeah, hypersensitive to like his approval and like his judgment about it.
Yeah, his judgment. You guys hear what he said? People are reacting to the boss's judgment.
He's a leader of men.
Leader of men, right? How about his jokes?
His time's more valuable.
Yes, his time is more valuable. How about his jokes, guys?
They're always fun.
He does his dumb jokes. Hey, buddy, right? And everyone's like, right? Okay? See? The jokes. He's got that in that environment. Now, from an evolution, remember how I said we talk about cavemen, and it's kind of weird that we talk about this whole caveman thing, kind of bizarre, but we look at it to understand what attraction is more clearly. So from an evolutionary point of view, the woman is not social, she's not wired to be like, I'm in this restaurant right now, and this is like, this little bubble doesn't represent the real world. The woman is not wired to understand that the world is a bigger place than Denny's. She's in the moment, right? From a moment-to-moment point of view, if she is seeing those kinds of sub-communications, she's going to have a lot of compliance towards that guy, right? She is going to, when they're out at the drinking after, when they all go out to the bar later, and they're all having fun and partying, and then he just leans in and starts kissing her, she's a lot more likely to go along with it, because that's the instinct, all right? So that is where the situational confidence comes in. But here's the really funny thing. Let's imagine that there's a party. Let's imagine that there is an awesome party going on, filled with supermodels and whatnot, and you take Mr. Denny's, okay? He drives his beat-up car. They won't even park in front of the place. They quickly get rid of it, right, and hide it in some corner. And he shows up into that party. Now, he does not have his worker bees giving him props. He doesn't know anybody, right? And he's sitting there, and he's like, oh, what am I going to do? These, I don't feel comfortable here. He's probably not even thinking that. He's probably just like, I'll drink beers. Okay, that's what most guys think in this environment, right? So he's get drunk. So what's going to happen there? All right, probably he's not going to do so well, right? Because all those behaviors, he's no longer going to go up, make physical contact. He might not make jokes as easily because he goes inside his head analyzing whether or not the jokes are good enough. He's probably not going to be leading people around. His voice is going to change. His eye contact is going to change. His decisiveness is going to change. He's looking to other people. He's not the anchor of the conversations anymore. He's not centered himself anymore. He's wanting other people's approval. It's switched, all right? It has switched. But let's play a game. Let's play an imagination game. Let's say that there's some other guy there, even more overweight, big fat guy, right? Big fat dude. More sloppy looking, just sitting there. He doesn't even know anybody either, right? Say it's a pool party, and he's sitting there, and he's big and fat, and he's splashing around, and he's laughing, and he's having a great time. He's having the most fun of anybody there. He's just enjoying the moment. He's not letting the environment affect him at all. He's just loving it. He's completely comfortable with who he is. He doesn't mind that he doesn't have all those superficial qualities. He doesn't care. He doesn't care. Wow, what could that, God forbid, he actually just likes himself. Maybe there is no logical reason why he likes himself. Maybe he just chooses to like himself. Why? What has he got going on? What is it, right? What is it? What's causing it? Maybe he owns a Fortune 500 company. Who knows, right? Maybe he has a 13-inch dick. Right? And he knows how to use it, okay? Maybe he was maybe he's the president of some social club, right? Maybe he, what does he have? Oh, maybe he's like a movie producer, right? Or, wait, maybe he's just a guy. That's it. He's just a fucking dude. And that's it. That's the only reason why he does that. He doesn't need all those little reinforcements. He's just maybe having a good time. What? He could be enjoying himself in that pretentious party? He could actually be having fun in that pretentious environment, even without, his Boy Scout badges on? How could that be? How could that be? Maybe he's just a guy. You ever think about that? Did you ever think that there's nothing stopping you from going to the hottest club in your city and just owning it and having a great time and being the most fun there? Did you ever think that you could do that? Like, you just could? Not for any reason. You could just do it because you're just a guy? Isn't that a funny thing, right? But you see, that's what we call a core confidence. It's not a situational confidence. It's called a core confidence. It's called, I'm going to have fun, and I don't care what you think. I'm going to have a good time. Okay? And so look, everyone's reacting to this guy. Everyone wants his approval. Everyone feels a bit different than if he wasn't around. He is the life of the party. He's outside his head because he has no reason not to be. Everyone's reacting to him. That's it. And look, that's where attraction comes from, all right? Whoever has the most people reacting to reacting to their approval and is reacting the least in return will tend to have the most attraction. Okay? Think about that, guys. There's a lot of different ways we could define attraction, a lot of different angles that we could take. But isn't that an interesting one? To say whoever has the most people reacting to their approval and is the most indifferent about it basically is the most attractive person there, right? And we could probably come up with some counter examples and different definitions for attraction, but it's an interesting working definition.
Would that be like why a singer would have lots of attraction?
Singers have an amazing amount of attraction. I know guys that are singers in B-class groups like that you've never heard of that have women lined up outside their dressing room waiting to party right after all the time, you know? Like no-name guys and stuff, and just the women enjoy it. They like guys that can just express themselves. They like, because look, as a girl, why would she be attracted to a guy? Like, why would she be attracted to a singer? He goes up, you know, he actually believes in his own standards. Like when you play music, man, you're putting yourself out there, right? You're really putting yourself out there. You're taking your creative vision of that music, and you're going to go up there and you're going to express that and not care what I mean, maybe, you know, probably you care what people think on some level, but you obviously, you know, you're able to sidestep that enough to go up and express yourself freely. And you're fun and you're doing what you want, and you're not the same old stiff, right? And then women see all the people reacting to that, and it's just incredibly, incredibly attractive. Maybe not to all women, but to a lot. Some women might say, well, I'm not attracted to that, but they're not going to say they don't have friends that are, right? So look, I guess what it comes down to is core confidence versus situational confidence, all right? And having a core value. Think about what that really means, right? Like having core value as opposed to situational value. Like, that's kind of an interesting one. All right, stop and ponder that for a minute. It's one thing to say you should have core confidence, right? Why should you have core confidence? It's actually really simple. It's a really simple answer. The reason that you should have core confidence is because if you just have confidence in all situations, people will buy into it. That's it, right? It's just a simple, it's like you get the glitch. Like, oh, there's a glitch. If I just act like a rock star, I get treated like a rock star. Cool, right? So on one level of core confidence is people who recognize the glitch. Do you remember how I talked earlier? Like, you know, we led into this with social conditioning. We led into this conversation about how most people walk through life in a trance, in a walking daze. And when you have, like, core confidence is almost like, you know, you recognize the glitch, that's how most people are walking around, and if you just appear a little bit more confident, you know, you're going to control the situation. You're going to have the dominant reality. But, like, when you think about core value, we're almost having to dig a little bit deeper because you actually have to, do you remember how I said earlier, like you have to make that piece into your reality? Like you have to have like the puzzle there that kind of goes click in your reality, like yes, I have core value. Because I bet you, look, if I were to say who here has core value, I bet you that like everyone in the room, like in a sort of like a positive way would be, I have core value. You know, I recognize that I have core confidence, right? Now if I say, look, why do you have, so if you have core confidence, do you have core value? Everyone would go, yeah, I have core value. I'd say, why? And they'd go, because I'm me, or, you know, because I deserve it, like L'Oreal or something, L'Oreal commercial. You know what I mean, right? Like, there's no, like, and that's the thing. So on one level, you can get the glitch. Like, you can see the glitches there of why you should have core confidence. And I think most of us get that, you know? Like, most of us get that there's a glitch that you can just sort of, if you just, you know, put it on, you can get it. But I think to be that guy that really pulls, like that guy that has, like, the real sexual abundance, that really pulls, that really, really gets it and really gets the results, you have to have had that click in your reality where it has clicked in your head that you really do have a core value. All right? You have to have had that click. And a lot of this seminar over the next few days is going to be like how to create that click, and we'll go into that further. But I mean, even just on a surface level that we could even just cover right now based on what you guys know now, you could even just say, look, everyone enjoys a good vibe, right? Everyone enjoys a great vibe around them. And if you're just a person that's having fun, that's valuable, right? If you're a person that can express yourself freely, that's valuable. You're offering value to the situation. We're all human beings. Everyone appreciates a personal connection. Everybody appreciates fun. Everyone appreciates a good vibe. So the point is, you know, just knowing that, why would you ever go out to some quote-unquote pretentious party, which, by the way, most people that call it a pretentious party are just feeling bad they don't know how to fit in, right? It's really true because at a lot of pretentious parties, there's a lot of cool people there. But regardless, when you just simply know that by, you know, your personality alone is enough, you can give yourself permission to act in the way that you know is attractive, all right? And I guess the way that I would wrap this up would be to say this. To me, there's an ideal. There's an ideal to all of this. And, you know, like I started off in the seminar where I said, you know, you start off just kind of wanting to get a girlfriend or whatever, and then, your desires and your motivations evolve. Well, one of my evolved desires was to just be able to go into any environment and be that same guy. I wanted consistency, all right? I didn't want to be the guy where, if I went to that one club where everyone knew me, I felt okay. But then if I went to some foreign club where I didn't feel like I fit in, I couldn't be that same guy. That drove me nuts. I wanted to be able to go without my friends, without the shield of having my wingmen there, on my own. If I want, I love to go out with my friends, but the point is, I don't want to have to go out with my friends. I don't want it to be like Friday night, and if like my buddies don't want to go out, like I don't go out. And so the point is, say that I'm traveling, right? Say I want to go travel around and bounce around the planet on my own for a bit. I don't want to have to rely on having anyone there. I love to have people there, and if they're there, that's great, but I don't want it to be an absolute necessity. So look, to me, when I feel like I kind of tell the story a lot, but basically, when I hit a certain level where I knew that I was kind of like going the direction that I wanted, I remember I was on a flight that had a stopover in Dallas, Texas, and we were stopping there and pulling in, and they said, oh, there might be a flight delay. And I went, oh, damn, I've never been to Dallas. I'd love to go there. Maybe I'll go out tonight on my own, right? And I was like, huh, yeah, I like that. That's cool, I can go out on my own in some brand new city and go have an adventure. I'm sure I'll make friends. I'm pretty darn sure I'll meet a girl, and some interesting things will happen, right? So, and I can do that, I can go out on my own into some new environment and meet new people, and it's not an issue anymore, right? Maybe, at that point I might not have been the most potent that I could be in a pickup, but I'd reached a level where I was really confident to go into any environment and be the person that I was meant to be, all right? So that, to me, is the core confidence, all right? Because look, living here in Los Angeles, you are going to see some of the most extreme cases of situational confidence that you will see anywhere in the world, aren't you? You're going to see people that have incredible, you're laughing, right? Because it's so true, right? You will see people who have incredible amounts of social influence within their bubble. Take them out of their bubble, and they're just a couple of fucking oldsters sitting up on the bar with the drinks pressed against their chests. But in their environment, they're like gods, all right? Because they, maybe they're promoters, maybe they're rich people, whatever it is, right? Maybe they've got status. And that's the thing, right? And those people, think of living like that, where on one level, you know that you have all this status, but take you out of your environment and you can't be that guy anymore. You're not that guy anymore. And I've met people who are in that kind of situation, like, when I've had wealthy guys come take the boot camp, and they'll say over and over, oh man, you should see me back in my hometown. I own that place, blah, blah, I own that place. And I can recognize that because I think, damn, and I bet you they do, like, seriously. Like, and I've had, if you're an ex-client of mine, you're not the only one that said I've heard it from countless. I just want to say that, okay? So, no, but really, like, I've had countless, wealthy or popular people come through the program, and they tend to say the exact same thing. They'll go in there and they'll keep saying, man, you have no idea how much I own it at home. I don't need to do this. I don't need to deal with this, because they just don't know the ropes, right? They're still learning the ropes. And usually, like, the biggest epiphany that I'm trying to create if I'm dealing with a very, wealthy client is the biggest epiphany that I try to create for any of them is, dude, you don't need those shields. Come on. You don't fucking need it, all right? Drop them. Drop the personality shells. Put yourself on the line. Either make it, float or sink on your own feet, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, get the girl or not, but get it because of you. Don't get it because of this other shit. Like, you get her, you don't, you don't. But get her based on yourself. At least then you put your personality out there. At least you know that you had integrity, that you had that authenticity about you. Because you know what? Isn't it funny that when all things are created equal, the social environment is kind of like the great equalizer when you take out all that bullshit. Like, for example, say that you're out with your friends from work, right? Some of you guys here who might be studying this stuff have incredible social skills now. But you might have some boss at work that has all the status. You go out to the bar with your boss, the great equalizer happens, right? Because now you're out there having a great time, and he's like, oh, yo, there goes Joe. He's so crazy. You're crazy. Yeah, you're crazy, Joe, right? And they just sit there, and they're not able to talk to people in the bar. And then they make excuses about it. Right? I've seen some guys nodding here because they've had that, right? Oh, you're just nuts, man, right? Because they got taken out of their environment. I say forget all that stuff, okay? I say let's evolve past that. Let's not worry about any form of personality shell or situational-based confidence. Let's find confidence from the core. Let's find confidence from the value that you offer as a human being. And look, this isn't some feel-good shit, all right? I would hope it feels good, and I would hope it's uplifting, but you want to know something? The guys that have this down are getting laid more and by hotter girls and have better girlfriends than the guys that don't. Straight up, you know? So on one level, it's like uplifting and heartwarming and all that stuff. But on another level, it's just fucking potent. It's just badass, you know? Having core confidence is just a badass thing to have. And that's why I want you guys to be able to develop that. Rather than developing a prison, develop freedom for yourself. And develop authenticity. All right, so look, we're going to wrap up today on an interesting topic. Like I said, today we're laying down a foundation, all right? Wax on, wax off. What that means is we're recovering the foundations and going deeper and deeper with each section. Look, we're going to talk about a very interesting topic, a topic a lot of people avoided, and a topic that I would like to talk about myself, which is that of love, all right? The word love, the concept of love, and where this fits into your own life. Now, isn't that an interesting thing? Because in this community, we generally shy away from that, right? We don't really talk about that. It's funny because we come into this, and one of the major reasons that most people are in this room is that at one point, we felt as though we're in love, fell in love with the girl, and started looking for information. What's the first thing that you learn when you find this stuff? Basic premise, if you want to be successful with one particular girl, learn to be successful with women in general. What does that mean? It means you get out of that model of the world where every girl that you meet that you like, you're falling in love with. Isn't that interesting? So we get away from that. In a lot of ways, one of the reasons why this community can at times come across as misogynistic is because even though the guys that are in it probably are more, you know, loving type guys, if anything so loving that they can send women running away from them, nonetheless, we sort of disconnect with that part of ourselves. How do most of us wind up here? How do most of us get into this? Here's the classic case. The classic case that I see works like this. You have a girlfriend. You're with her, right? And you're together, everything is great. Suddenly, you find out that maybe she cheated on you, right? Or maybe she just dumped you. Maybe she just broke up with you because she was no longer attracted. Maybe you choted yourself out, as is so commonly done. And so what happens? Well, first of all, here's the shocking part. The most shocking part of losing your girl, in my opinion, is that the girl that you loved, the girl that you were so connected to, changes, right? That person no longer exists, right? This girl who was so sweet with you, that said certain things, that made certain promises, she no longer exists. And this is a very powerful thing, right? Like what happens, because it's like, where did she go? And maybe you still love that girl, right? Like you still have all those emotions, you still have all those feelings, but there's just these new negative feelings. So my friend Chris said to me when his wife left him, is that it's like he still loves his wife, but there's all of these new negative feelings that are mixed in. And it's like you want to still feel those emotions, you want to still feel that, but there's like this, like, it's almost like you're like going into like your love program, like, right? Like, oh, she's so lovely, you know, because then you remember. And you want it back. Right? You want those feelings to come back. You're not thinking, oh, you know, I need to disconnect myself from those feelings and pull myself together as a man and, you know, start living in abundance. You don't want that. Let's face it. When you've lost that girl, all that you want, let's face it, is you just want her back. Right? That's what you want. You don't want to learn how to be a big pimp. You don't want to learn how to live in abundance with women. You don't want to go have to approach people. You don't want any of that. If you do it, if anything, you're just thinking that you'll get your girl back by doing it. You know, right? Like, I'll learn how to get these other girls and get her back, like Return of the Jedi. All right? Okay? Face my father, right? You know? And so, and it's a funny thing, right? And isn't it amazing how we all have different faces? Like, we have different faces and personalities for different people that we meet. Like, the way that we might treat, you know, a homeless beggar who's being really pushy might be different than how we treat our mothers. And the way that we treat, you know, a girl that we care about could be different than the way that we treat a friend, and so on and so forth. There's all these different faces. And when you're with that girl, the face that she gives you is like this, you know, the couple face, right? Like, it's like looking into a mirror and seeing the most beautiful reflection in the world back of love. And she loves you and all that kind of stuff. And you can lie in bed. My friend Timmy calls it the cherishing, right? In Australia, he's like, the cherish, right? And, you know, he kind of teases it like that. But the thing is, that is what, you know, that's what's taking place. Now, isn't it funny that when you lose that, you want to get it back, right? Like, and that's the classic thing. I'm going to win her back. You think you're going to win her back. So what happens in the classic case? The guy goes, he resolves he's going to win her back. Why? Because he probably saw it on some Hollywood movie of social conditioning, right? And it can drive him nuts because he says, it's like, the same girl, here's the biggest mind screw of it all. The same special places that you went with the girl, like say that she took you to like her favorite place or you took her to your favorite place, she will go do all these things with the next guy probably. You know what I'm saying? Right? You know the special spot where you first cherished and made love? She'll go there with the dude, right? Why? Because that's what she knows, right? That's like that nice dress that you bought her so she could look really good for when you went out. She's gonna wear that if it's her best dress with this guy. How is she not? Right? I mean, not all girls do that, and different girls do different things, but look, guys do the same thing too, right? Maybe you gave her a gift, and she actually re-gifted, right? And gave it, you know? And you think, how? How could she be doing this? And she said, and see, here was the funny thing. Do you remember how we talked about different focuses? And how we each focus, we have different ways that we remember any different relationship. We have different ways that we remember friendships, and different things that we focus on. And when she goes to that other guy, or when she leaves you, all the nice things that you guys had, because you had these nice things together. Like you had, when you first met, and your quirky story of how you first met, and you have like your cool story of why you're together. Like, have you guys noticed that in a relationship? You'll oftentimes continually re-verbalize and reconfirm why you're together. Have you guys ever seen that? Right? Like you're always like, yeah, because we have this thing. It's our thing, right? You have your thing with the girl, okay? And you have like, why you continue to be together, or why you're together and you have a special bond that you couldn't get elsewhere. I think that's actually the big one, huh? Isn't that the big one? You have this special bond with the girl that you have some qualities. She keeps reaffirming it to you that she couldn't get anywhere else. So when she leaves you, it's so confusing. And especially because, look, what is the number one trance-inducing way to really feel the emotions of love with someone? Without any constriction or being stifled, just to really unstifle those feelings of love. What's the key word about love? It starts with the F. The key word to put yourself in a deep trance. What is a diamond?
Forever.
Forever. Right? I will love you forever. Okay? This is love, right? And the forever idea of it. And so you have your quirky thing, and you think, but she said forever, right? And that's how I felt when my girlfriend dumped me, like 21 years old. She was 19. She had full right to break up with me, right? She had full right to go and see what else is out there. Of course, I was being highly young, just being a young guy. But the point is that I was like, how, right? This was forever. This was, this is our thing. And I have these qualities. You can't get that from somebody else. You can't get that from him. You can't get that, Then she's going out wearing the clothes you bought her, going to your places, and it is the mind screw of mind screws. And virtually every guy in this room has been through it. And virtually every guy watching these DVDs at home has been through it at one point. Everyone goes through this. It's a growing phase, right? Like, it's part of growing up. And you know what? I don't think any of us would take it back, right? Like, you wouldn't take back your experiences. It's part of what makes you who you are. It's just part of growing up, right? And, it makes you wonder, like, what is love, right? I mean, if it's fragile like that, if those kinds of things can happen, where does this fit into your life, right? And some people, of course, become jaded, right? They're like, fuck it, I'm done. I'm never going to have a girlfriend. I'm going to play the field. I'm not going to get screwed over, blah, blah. You get stuff like that. Then you get other guys that are just needy, right? Like, probably everyone here knows someone who will fall in love with any attractive girl that will have them, right? If she's attractive, oh, I'm in love. Oh, God, we cherish, blah, right? And they do that all the time, okay? And there's like a virus, sure. Yeah. And there's different ends of the continuum here. But what is love, right? And let's think about it. Like, what are the different, like, when we think about love, what are the different definitions? Like, is love two teenagers in the back of a car scrambling for a condom? Right? Okay? Right? It can be, at the time. Right? So, is love, a pair of newlyweds on the first night of their wedding? Is love an old couple sitting on the couch? They haven't had sex in 20 years, but they're deeply in love, right? Because it don't work no more, right? But, okay, yeah, plumbing's broken. But, what is it, right? And what's interesting is that English, as a language, in many ways dictates our concept of reality. The language that you speak dictates the emotions that you feel and the experience of the world that you have. And so, see, in most cultures, or I don't know if it's in most, but I know in many languages, there's many different words for love. All right? You have brotherly love. You have love for a father, love for a mother. Then you have infatuation. And then you have, like, long-term love, things like that. And when you break those up and you don't have this all-encompassing word that's supposed to mean everything, then the self-hypnosis is not so common. But understand that. Understand that more than anything, love is a self-hypnosis. All right? A lot of people conceive of love as having supernatural properties. They might think that everyone has one perfect soulmate. They might think that love lasts forever, or true love lasts forever. They might think that you can only fall in love a certain number of times in your life. One person on the forum recently kept saying that the first love is the best, so he was going to keep trying to get back his first love. Very bizarre. Really bizarre. That's what your mom says, right? Okay. People might believe that fate will handle love for them, right? Like, you shouldn't try to meet someone. Like, I mean, if that was true, then me and my girlfriend certainly wouldn't be a good item, because I did a lot of very active, deliberate things to land myself in the situation I'm in right now, right? But they think, no, it'll just happen. Fate will take care of it. And you know what? With those kind of belief systems, that there's these powerful forces at work, it is no wonder that people self-hypnotize themselves into all sorts of wacky beliefs and to a lot of emotional pain, into a lot of unpleasant experiences. All right? Is love a feeling of attraction, a feeling of connection, a feeling of lust, a feeling of physical attachment, maybe underlying oneness? What is it? What does it mean to you? Is it anxious codependence? Isn't that a funny one? Like, look at that one. That is a funny one. Mistaking neediness for love. Here's what is to be understood. Love is not caused by another person. It's a self-hypnosis. All right? It's a trance that you put yourself in. It's caused by yourself. It's not something caused by another person, caused by ourselves. And as we loop our thoughts over and over around a concept of a particular person, our mind shifts the way that we perceive them, and suddenly everything makes sense. It's love. All right? And as it takes hold into your psyche, your physical body follows suit, spinning and intensifying your emotions until you are fully enraptured. That is what love will do to you. It will take a concept of a person and it will make them into something they're not, and can even make them into an object to you if you're not doing it in a healthy way. So the thing is that, understand that, like, your concept of your girlfriend, that's a concept that you have. But at the same time, that may not be who she is as a person. So let's make this even more clear. Why don't we draw a distinction almost between, like, the chode version of love and, like, what love becomes to you when you've been in this for a long time, okay? To a chode, he is walking around with a gap in his self-esteem. And so when he finds that woman, that little gap gets a plug in it for a temporary period of time. And he feels what a cool guy would call normal. That's the emotions that he's feeling, that good feeling in your body that you have when you're a good guy, that good feeling that you have in your body, that is what you're experiencing if you're a chode and you're getting a bit of validation. All right? You're getting a taste of validation. And then, of course, the language does its work, spins its effects on you, and then you think that you're in love with that person. Many times that can be codependence. You see, look, that good feeling that you have in your body, like that really good feeling of being you, is something that you should be able to self-generate. It's something that comes from within yourself. All right? And when you love somebody, maybe, that's like that personal connection that you create with that person, and it can fuel it even more. But any time that you lose that other person out of your life, that good feeling should not be going away. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's okay to experience loss and to go through the healthy, cathartic experience of experiencing loss. But beyond that, we're going into unhealthy land where a lot of guys are stuck. All right? Because essentially what's happened is they are disconnected from their self-esteem. They use the girl as a pillar in a new sense of reality. Remember how we talked about situational confidence and how when you have certain situations you feel better about yourself and more confidence? Well, a lot of guys use a woman that they have as a sort of form of situational confidence. And when they lose that woman, their mojo is taken away from them and they feel lost. The house of cards crumbles. That's what's going on. All right? Here's another fact. You don't know somebody until you've been with them a long time. I'm sorry. Sorry to tell that to you. And from a certain perspective, you could call that love at first sight, right? You could say, love at first sight. Of course, it was a lot more involving me, like pulling her hair and screaming, "Say you love me, bitch," and fucking smack her ass, right? And she likes that kind of thing. But the point is that, right? She'd be like, yeah, right? So, But the point is, you could call that like love at first sight, right? And because it worked out, because the longevity was there, because I was able to maintain the the multiple several year relationship now, being together for over 3 years. But the thing is that with in reality, I wasn't coming from a position of lack, right? I wasn't coming with an empty cup looking to be filled or looking to be completed, all right? So there was the offering and value that was there. And she's a really high self-esteem person, so it was like a fueling fire. It wasn't like this sort of weird codependence or anything like that. And I guess you could say beyond that, a lot of guys don't realize what a relationship really is or what it means to get involved with somebody. I mean, look, when you get involved with somebody, you're taking on all their problems as your own in a lot of ways, right? When you get deeply involved. I mean, you're getting involved with their parents, with their family life. If she has, I have a friend whose girlfriend got cervical cancer, and he had to go through that whole thing with her. I've had friends whose girlfriend is broke, and they have to financially support them. Health issues, family issues. You don't just pick a hot chick and fall in love, okay? You know what I'm saying? You don't just, you don't know her. You think that you can tell if she, for example, if she's someone who's highly prone towards deceit. You don't know if a girl's telling you the truth about herself or not. You have no way of knowing. Do you think that you're the Hardy Boys, right? And that you can tell and that you can know a girl just by immediately just getting to know her? No. Look, if it works out, and that's great, and that's what you want. But the point is, you don't just fall in love with any person, okay? You get to know them. And this is where a lot of guys go wrong, though, because here's what happens. When you meet a girl in a club, it is so nice. Like, say out at a nightclub, say during the day, and you have an incredible connection. Like, look, you're meeting the girl, you're the man, you're the big pimp, she's really into you, she compliments you, maybe you make out, you're sitting there, you're stroking her hair, that kind of stuff, and you've got a chemical eruption going on, man. It is addictive. Could be easily the most addictive feeling in the world, all right? It is amazing. And when you feel that, one way to intensify it is to think you really have a connection with this girl. But what tends to happen is this. When the girl sees you as the abundance-minded guy, right? She sees you as the cool, non-outcome dependent, non-reaction seeking, not attached to any kind of result. You're attractive. And so she has one type of personality towards you, and that's the personality that you're getting to know. That's the personality that you know. You're getting to know her, I'm with a hot guy personality. But then what happens is, as you're being nice to her, and then you start to feel those good emotions, you feel attached, because you're like, we're on the same team now, we're on the same team. And then suddenly what happens is you start to chode yourself out, right? Because you become attached to the outcome. Now she says she has to go to the bathroom, and that same fucking cool guy that was all like, yeah, like when you first met, now all of a sudden it's like, oh, is she coming back? Oh, is she coming back? And you're feeling that loss. You're feeling like those chemicals in your body, like, where is she? And you're going, where is she? Where's she at? Right? Because you want her. Then you see her, maybe as she comes out of the bathroom, she starts talking to some other guy, right? Do you man up and go in there and yank her out? No, of course not. The chemicals in your body, you can feel, they kind of go like that. You feel yourself being deflated. You can feel yourself losing state, all right? And we're going to talk, state is going to be a huge theme of tomorrow. You feel yourself falling out of state, losing your mojo, losing the nimbus is dimming, as they would call it, all right? We'll talk more about that later. Don't worry about it. So look, what happens is your concept of what love is and wanting to fall in love is actually interfering with the process of finding that great girl. Because the truth is, she may like you when you're acting attractive, but as soon as you stop acting that way and you become outcome dependent, it's now a new sort of thing. What does that mean? Does that mean never fall in love? Of course not. But what that means is this: you're a man of standards. You have to be a man of standards. And you can be getting to know a girl and you can have incredible, connection with her and feel good and enjoy it. But you remember how I talked about paradoxical things, like on one level you know what people are like, and another level you enjoy them and think the best? The same concept applies here. You can feel good. You can bathe in the emotions and bask in them and enjoy them. But at the same time, you cannot be losing state as you start to, if the attraction starts to flicker out. And I see this is a huge sticking point. I see this as a huge sticking point between guys and reaching a mastery type of level, okay? Like on an advanced level here, where what happens is they're very good in the field, but when they start to get in with a girl, they become outcome dependent about halfway through the interaction because they're feeling those emotions, and they wind up losing the girl. And believe me, that's a painful way to lose a girl. It sucks. So how do we move past this? You know what I'm saying? How do we get past that kind of a mindset, that kind of approach, that kind of way of coming at this sort of thing? Again, you have to know that you do not know somebody until you know them. Don't make judgments. Don't make assumptions. Don't assume anything about the girl. Look, this girl might be seeing 5 different guys, and she's going to continue seeing them even when she's with you. Even though she's telling you she loves you and you've got the biggest cock ever and whatever she's telling you, okay? It doesn't really matter. She could be seeing other guys. She might have countless orbiters that are driving her around and stuff like that and doing favors for her, and every so often she does a favor for them back, all right? You don't know what the girl's like, right? She might be a liar. She might be deceitful. She might be needy. Have you ever thought of that one? You guys might think, see, any of you guys who are coming from a position of scarcity, I know what you're thinking. You want a needy girlfriend. That's what you want. From scarcity, I said. If you're coming from a position of scarcity, you want the needy girlfriend. You're like, I want the girl that's calling me. I want the girl that can't get enough of me. But when you start coming from an abundance position, you get the reaction that you just heard here, which is blah, okay? Blah, right? You can't even get it to work when the girl's needy. Anyone ever had that experience? Like you're dating like a cute girl, and then she gets needy, and no worky anymore.
Just don't want her.
Right? Done. Just get away. Blah. Gross. Ugh. Right? I don't know if maybe that's just like when you've moved past neediness yourself, it almost becomes your shadow. Like you
start being the flake.
Yeah. You start being the flake, right? But like the thing is, like when you've worked so hard not to become needy, and then you see that behavior, in a lot of ways it can mess with your head because you're like that's the old me, ugh, right? And you can feel that way. In a certain way, I also think that being in a relationship, you do have to tolerate a level of neediness from the girl because, when a girl really likes you, she is going to just act on her emotions, and that can be a sticking point too. But point being, look, you don't know the girl, all right? So assume nothing. Enjoy the experience, enjoy the emotions, but don't be attached. Do you guys understand what enjoyment without attachment means? Enjoy the experience fully, to the fullest extent, but don't have any attachment. Because believe me, that same girl that was one way, as soon as she sees that you're attached to the outcome, will transform right before your very eyes into a different person. All right? The outcome, like, I want to be with this girl now, we're going to be together, blah, blah. Okay? And
Sex is an outcome.
I think being attached to the outcome of sex can be a negative thing. I also think being attached to having a relationship after sex can be a negative thing. I think being attached to just getting the extraction of the phone number during the first club meeting or whatever can be tough. Again, paradoxical views. On one side, we have like as Ozzy would say, close, man, just close, right? Go fucking close. No, what? I need some report. No, close, right? On the other side, we have the non-outcome dependence, and it's two paradoxical concepts. You have to have a good handle on both of them. Anyway, I guess the way that I would wrap it up is like this. Love is something that you experience within yourself, all right? It's something that you experience when you're walking down the street. It's something that you experience when you're talking to a friend. It's something that you experience when you look at the sky. I swear to God, man. And this is kind of a funny thing, and I think people, honestly, think I might be kidding when I say this, but to become a really, really good at picking up chicks, like this is kind of funny, to be amazing at picking up chicks, you've got to get that almost like that spiritual side of yourself handled, all right? And that sounds kind of funny, right? Like to mac the hose, okay, you've got to get that, you've got to get almost like your relationship with God handled. You know what I'm saying, right? And when I say that, by the way, that doesn't necessarily even mean any type of religion or anything like that. But when I say that, I almost mean like your place in the world, right? Even as an atheist, right? Like whatever your beliefs are, you have to have that that good feeling independently about the world, like that the world is a good place, that the world is a place where you're at home, a world is a place that's beautiful, And when you can experience that, you become a person who is independently happy and independently validated and independently amused. And suddenly, and isn't that funny, the funny paradox of it, suddenly when you have that good feeling within yourself, and you don't even need a relationship anymore. You're not even thinking about a relationship. In fact, a relationship has hit a point where it's kind of a stretch for you. Like, do I want to do this right now? I'm so fulfilled in my life. This is a stretch. And suddenly, the girls that you meet, now they want to be your girlfriend. Now you've got the girls popping up behind fire hydrants and jumping out of hedges trying to be your girlfriend, right? Because you have, that's the paradox. Yeah, it's the ultimate paradox. What do they say? The hungry don't get fed or something like that? And so basically, you want to achieve that self-fulfillment. And isn't it funny? Because you'll start off like, I just want a girlfriend so bad. Ugh, I have to become self-fulfilled? Fine. Whatever it takes, man. I'll become self-fulfilled to get a girlfriend. And you'll be doing it for all the wrong reasons. But you know what? Whatever works, man. I mean, if that starts you off on the right path, and then you start to get a taste of self-fulfillment, and you start to really get into it, that could be the start of a beautiful thing. I guess what I'm saying is that when they say that, validation comes from within or love comes from within, like that good feeling is something that you should feel about the world. And once you feel that about the whole world, then you can focus that on one person, and it's no longer needy. It's no longer attached. It's no longer codependent. It's almost like they say, if you have a bushel of flowers, it's when you clip that flower to try to make it yours that it dies. All right? Because you're trying to say, that's mine. Okay, and I'm going to possess it, and I'm going to allow that into my ego structure, and I'm going to base my sense of who I am based on my relationship, and if I were to lose it, it would be horrible. But you know what? When you clip the flower and you try to make it yours, it just dies, right? You're suffocating it, okay? It's like a butterfly. You don't just grab it and crush it. You just let it stay there, all right? You know what I'm saying? That's what most guys do. They go, ugh, and then it's dead. What the fuck did I do, right? And that's where it goes wrong. So look, that good feeling, I want you guys to really think about this. And we talk about social conditioning earlier today. That's kind of how we're wrapping up. That good feeling that you feel in your body, like just that fucking glow that you feel every day of your life, that's something that you have on your own. And most people rely on consumerism to get that, or rely on validation to get that. But that's something that comes from within. We're going to talk tomorrow and the rest of these next few days about what that's really all about. Okay? But really, I guess what I want to say to you guys is I want to get you more towards a mode of offering value. You're not walking up with a half-filled-up cup trying to say, like little Oliver Twist, may I have some more, right? You're not looking to self-seek in another person, all right? And I guess that is when, love will enter your life, all right? That's when that will come, okay? And when you come full circle. Now, look, today, we've covered a lot of foundational stuff. All right? This is day 1 of 4. And I love the fact that the 4 days allows us to look at these foundations really closely so that we can have them in mind as we go deeper down the rabbit hole over the next 3 days. Now, like I've told you, this is my, I guess my 5th time, depending on which ones you count, doing the seminar. And every time the guys have walked away on the first day kind of like, this is really interesting. What am I going to use this to apply to my life? And in the day 2, 3, and 4, that's when the epiphanies are going to start to build, okay? Every day that we do this, you know how a lot of time guys will give their best material on day 1? This is the building material, all right? So we are going deeper and deeper and deeper. I want you guys to go out tonight, have a good time, and the lesson for tonight, what I really want you guys to think about, if we think about what lesson you guys are going to take away from this tonight, is do what you want to do, all right? My friend Alex, he says, I do what I want when I want. My friend Nathan, he says, I'm going to be the person I'm meant to be. All right? My friend Tim, he says, don't give a fuck what anybody thinks of you. Okay? And these are a lot of sort of catchphrases that we have. And we have these for very, very good reason. So I want you guys to think tonight about the kind of behaviors that you have when you're on your own, right? The kind of behaviors that you have when you're being the kind of person that you want to be. And I want you to communicate with everybody that way. I want to think of how you feel when you feel good, and I want you to allow yourself to feel that way. All right? What we've done here is we've gone from social conditioning to a better place, right? We've looked at sort of the ailments of social conditioning, and we've moved you towards a better place. We've moved you maybe from here to here. And over the next few days, we want to get you over to here, all right? So I want to thank you guys very much for coming out and listening today. And I want you guys to have an amazing night. Thank you very much.